Hey guys, so basically I'm going to reopen CFA number 3 that you took, and I would like you to either take it for the first time if you are someone that didn't, or take it for a second time so that you can retry and get a better score since some of you have struggled with it. And I also wanted to give you some pointers on some of the more challenging problems. So I picked out the 6 problems that students had the most trouble with. And so I'm just going to go through each one and kind of remind you a little bit of a hint about it. So if I'm looking at this, it says this set of ordered pairs. I wish this was bigger. Oh, there we go. This set of ordered pairs defines a relation. Here's some points, which best explains why it's not a function. So remember that the reason something is a function is because there are no repeated x's. Oh. Let's cancel that. Let's draw. So if I'm trying to figure out a function, I'm looking for no repeated x's. Because really, remember, if you have repeated x's, that means you have more than one output for the same input. And remember, for a function, it has to be one input has one output. Remember the machine where one number goes in and one number comes out. Okay, that was the first one that had some issues. That was about 50% of you got that one right. For not linear, so I think one of the things I wanted to remind you on this is that basically you're looking for a regular x with no exponent, and it's not on the bottom of a fraction, and it doesn't have like a square root symbol over it. It's just a plain old x. And I realized after I assigned this problem that C here is probably not very clear to you what it looks like if you simplify it, because it's not simplified and you don't really even have the skills to simplify it right now. But if I was going to simplify this for you, red, make it a little smaller. So if I was going to simplify this side for you here, this is the same as saying x squared minus 6x plus 9. So this is what C actually is when you multiply it all the way out. And so hopefully you can tell that this has an issue, right? It's not a plain old x, it has an x squared. So that problem really wasn't that fair to you, just because you don't really know how to simplify that way. All right, so that was about 51% of you got that right. This is finding slope, which honestly is probably one of the more important things that you guys should be able to do. So, so you'd have to, in order to write the equation, you need to know what the slope is and you need to know what the y-intercept is. So if I'm looking, remember, it should be y equals mx plus b. And b is where it crosses the y-axis. And it crosses the y-axis here in the middle at 0. So that means that this really here at the end is a plus 0 because it crosses the y-intercept is at 0. Then I need to figure out slope. So if I'm looking at this point that I just drew, and I look at like another point there, or there, or there. So there's a bunch of little points here that I could compare. But the idea is, how am I going from one point to the next? And so I have to, from here, I have to go down 1 and then over 2. So down 1 over 2. Remember, it's rise over run. So that means that the number here, m, is -1/2. And it has that x next to it, right? And then the y is out front. So that's what would happen if I wrote it. So I will let you do the matching part yourself, since I'm sure at this point you can figure it out. Let's see. That was about 53% got that one right. This one is just finding slope. So again, I want to go through and find points that are exact. And this one is not exact on the y-axis, which is probably why some people didn't get it right. But here's a point. You know what? I'm going to switch to red so you can see it better. Here's a point here. Here's a point here. Another one here, there, and there. And so every time I'm going up 3 over 2. So no matter where I look, up 3 over 2. So I'm going to let you decide what the answer is on that. Okay, 2 left. Definitely a lot of people had a hard time with this one. So 46% got the last one right. Only 40% got this one right. So this was the hardest one of the whole group. So you're always comparing change in Y over change in X. That's what you're comparing when you're talking about a rate of change. The same thing as slope. When you're looking at a table, you're really comparing how much they're changing from number to number. So if I'm looking on this side here, every time I go down to the next line, I'm basically doing the same thing, right? I'm adding 5 on all these. If I look here on this side to see what's happening with my Y's, this time everyone is going down 30. Right, so I'm subtracting 30. So this side is my change in Y. And this side is the change in X. So basically, if I was putting those in there, I have negative 30 over positive 5. And so this is just a division problem. So that means that, well, again, I'll let you work through it and see what you think. And then finally, just like the last one, I'm really just deciding which one of these is different than a regular X. So which one's not just a plain old X, but actually has something weird happening to it that's going to make it not linear. Okay, hopefully that helps. So if you go into School City, it's listed as CFA number 3 retake, or take this again or something like that. And you can take it again. Tomorrow, there will be a second quiz, and it will be similar to this quiz. So hopefully, if you're able to work through some of these again, you'll be able to do tomorrow's quiz a little bit more easily. Okay, good luck.